You are listening to Unguarded, a podcast about relationships and life in every season. My name is Joe Smith, here with the best co-hosts on the planet.
I'm Bec. It's great to be here, obviously.
And today we have such a gift.
Yes, we do.
Because we had 1 week little break, right? We had a week where we did a podcast, just us, but we're like, that's not what the people want. You got to give the people what they want. They want guests. They want other perspectives, you know, and there'll be plenty of time with us. But we love when we get to bring friends on that we respect and love, and that we feel like will have so much value to you wherever you are in life and whatever season. So today we have the incredible Kenric and Sonequa Green in the house. In the house.
Easy.
Thank you guys so much for being here.
Oh man,
thanks
thank you for having us.
love
We are
you.
honored to be here. We love y'all. We really
I
do.
know, I'm excited. I feel giddy.
I know.
Yeah,
I do
this
too.
I don't normally feel giddy.
Like, where's this gonna go?
I'm just smiling this whole time.
100%. Which I
feel
love
like we
that. 'cause
snuck in.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
smile more. It's one feedback that I got
Oh,
from somebody in my life. It's like, you don't communicate joy enough
right.
with your face. So I want to embody Kenric right now.
There we go.
Yeah.
We
Just
smile
smile from
brothers.
ear to
Yeah,
ear.
we smile brothers.
smile,
Yeah.
Wow, brothers, I like that.
So maybe to start, we love maybe take some time and introduce yourself. For those that may not know you, if you don't know them, who you lying? Yeah, you do,
Oh.
right? It's a very good
Amazing.
chance because you two. I'll let you share, but you were on maybe one of my favorite shows that I've ever watched in my life, and so thank you
man.
guys for bringing me entertainment and joy through the
Aw,
screen.
that's kind.
But yeah, why don't you take some time, introduce yourself, and
Oh boy. I'll start because hers is cooler.
Yeah.
I'm Kenric Green, husband to, I call her Sonequa Green. Most people know her as Sonequa Martin Green.
That's
Mhm.
And we're actors. We met in New York,
Mhm.
and kind of found acting, graduating from high school, went to New York to study, went to theater, got married,
Mhm.
moved back to LA, had kids, and living that LA actor life, which is quite a journey and quite a ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have 2 kids, right?
Two
Me
kids,
too.
Kenric the
Incredible
second and
kids.
Soraya.
yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Detroit, grew up in Southern California. I'm not very good at introducing myself.
No, you're doing
Um,
great.
You're doing
Especially with
great.
your actor's voice. It just sounds good.
Well, yeah, I'll just say gibberish and
Yeah.
make it sound nice. No.
How you feeling about, very important question.
Yes.
How you feeling about your Lions?
Oh,
this year?
man, yes.
Yo.
This is a fantasy football podcast because we could do that all day.
Yes.
No. Yes, my Lions, Detroit Lions. I never in my lifetime thought that I would be able to root for the Lions and actually have expectation and hope behind it,
Yep,
and not just fear of disappointment. You know,
for sure.
'cause it's so many years of just bracing myself. I also have skin in the game of a family member who actually played for the Lions, so it's a
Nice.
very, very, it's a close thing, not
Yep.
your
Yeah.
normal fandom. So
So
very
the
excited.
Netflix show Receiver,
Yes.
Amon, same brand. He was on the Lions. He was on Kenric's favorite team.
Oh, yeah,
Remember
that's
Alma?
cool.
Yeah.
Yes, he's amazing. I love him as a player.
yeah,
Yeah.
he is. We're really good.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, we're rooting for him.
We are. I've even got my wife rooting
Nah,
for him.
I'm in there.
She
Did you
jumped
watch
on
the show?
board.
I didn't
We
watch
didn't
that
watch
show,
Receiver,
but we
no.
watched, or I watched some.
Oh yeah, we
of
watched
quarterback?
Hard Knocks.
Hard
of,
Knocks.
Yes.
2-3 years ago when
Yep.
they were featured. Yeah, Dan Campbell, man,
I know.
it's a leader.
Yeah,
great.
changed the game.
Yeah.
Didn't he? I like the way you did it, baby. I'm gonna follow your your outline. I was born in Alabama in a teeny tiny small town called Russellville, and as soon as I graduated high school, I went to the University of Alabama, got a theater degree. Then I immediately moved to New York City, started pursuing. Then obviously we met not too long after that, and got married very quickly after that, after we met. And I was doing little bits here and there on TV and stuff. And then Walking Dead was, well, actually first it was Toe to Toe, a film that ended up going to Sundance. That was like the first sort of like, I don't know, breakout for me, if that's what you want to call it.
Mm.
And then Walking Dead was the next big thing. And then after that was Star Trek Discovery. And then, you know, done other stuff too. I guess Space Jam was kind of big. Is that weird?
Yeah. No, our son Zai, who that's where, yeah,
You're losing it.
who's actually in the room with us right now.
Yes.
He loves Space Jam. He really did. Yeah.
All right.
Oh man, that's
Right, didn't you, Zai?
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
He just waves at
He
you.
really
Yeah.
did. I feel very special now. Yeah, and so we like Kenric was saying, we it's been such a wild ride, you know, being actors in this industry and
Mhm.
you know, being being people of God and you know, being parents and you know, sort of balancing everything. It's been quite a ride.
Mhm.
I remember Joe was telling me that with Walking Dead, you were going to be like only on a few episodes and then, or maybe one, and then they said, no, she's amazing. We've got to write her in.
They did, yeah. That is sort of how it happened. I mean, I originally auditioned for Michonne, and it was down to me and Denai and one other woman, and Denai was the absolute perfect choice. I always say that. She's so brilliant. I love that woman. Close friend, sister in Christ too. And then the showrunner at the time, Glenn Mazzara, was like, "Hey, I really loved your work, and I want you on the show, so I'm going to create a role for you." And my team was like, "He ain't gonna do that. Like, that's really sweet that he said, but don't get your hopes up, you know." And then, sure enough, just like a few months later, he was like, "Remember when I said you're going to be Tyrese's sister?" And then it just continued to grow from there, because I still thought it was only going to be a few episodes, but they just kept, they kept me
Isn't
around.
that incredible? I mean, how did that feel? That must
It
have
was
been
really
insane.
exciting because we were huge fans of the show at that time,
were.
man. The show was huge back then.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Huge.
Yeah.
And things were really just getting started too, so that wasn't like an expectation. Like, yeah, we'll do it. They'll write it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, that
Yeah.
was not. We were just, I mean, honestly, it was like month to month, just hoping anything would come just to pay bills.
Wow.
Totally.
Very
Oh,
early
man.
career actors.
So I feel like
We
that's
were
where
scratching
so many
by.
people are in that space with like, do I keep going with this?
Yeah. Because it is not easy.
No,
it's not.
And you just spend most of your time struggling,
Yeah.
you know, and living in this space of unpredictability and mystery. And, it's like, I praise the Lord for, faith, because you just never know what's going to happen day to day. You never know where you're going to be, how long you're going to be there, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And then also just to have a role sort of crafted for you is a really
Yes.
big deal too in this business.
Yep.
And I couldn't believe I found myself there. It was
Yeah.
like, wow.
There's someone championed for you. It's pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember Glenn telling me that people were like, "Who is this?
Yeah, who's this girl
Who
you're
is
writing it
this
for?
that you
Yeah.
want to do what?"
So he just had her
Right.
picture up in the writer's room. And they're like,
Yeah.
who is that?
Who is
Yeah.
that?
Like, what?
She's like, I know
What is she
it.
Yeah,
talking-
right.
What are you talking about? And he was like, trust me,
Mhm.
which is huge. That's huge to go out on a limb
Yeah.
for somebody
Cool.
like that.
Yep.
Like I will always be grateful to him for that. He ended up leaving the show pretty soon after that.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
only for that season.
Just that
Yeah.
season, yeah.
Which
Just
it was kind of
magic.
like, we were like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah,
What's
we
her
just-
I
status?
know, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
another
She
thing.
goes
Yeah,
with
I thought
Glenn,
for sure
or
I was
like-
going to
Right.
be done.
You know,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, he's the only one that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Mhm.
know I'm going to be done when he leaves. But then they were like, no,
Oh,
you're going to
wow.
join, permanently.
Wow.
Actually. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We could do a whole episode
I
on
know.
that.
I'm just,
I know, right?
I'm,
I know,
I'm more
right.
personally excited just to have heard you, because I haven't heard you talk about it. So
But
I
I,
loved it.
yeah.
but I want to take it back for a second,
Yes.
even though just for you guys glossed over it, but met
In a
in
play.
Yes.
not
In
law
New York.
school. No.
in a play at theater.
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 Thank
The
you. I don't know why I had
McCarter
law
Theater,
school on my
yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
I wish it was law school.
No.
I
Distinguished
people, yeah.
Can you imagine?
But yeah, tell us maybe a little bit about that. Like, what was that like? Because we know a little bit about your story, but
Mhm.
it's just really compelling. But I don't know if everyone
Yeah.
does. Like,
So we call it the greatest showmance ever.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
because we end up married with children, because
Yeah.
it happens a lot, right? You hear about it.
Sure.
Actors work together and then they
Yeah.
have a thing and then it goes away. We actually didn't play opposite each other. There was no romantic component.
Gotcha.
That was just the kind of like where we met.
mm,
But yeah, I was actually a reader for the audition as actors were coming in to read.
interesting.
Oh,
Which is my first time
interesting.
doing that. And it was really cool. And then she was one of the actors who came in for the role
Mm-hmm.
of Muhammad Ali's wife. It was a play called Fetch, Clay, Make Man by Will
yeah.
Power. It went up in 2009 at the McCarter Theater in Princeton.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing time. Princeton holds this place in
It
our heart.
does.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've been back since the
I
play
don't think we
closed
have. We
either.
gotta go.
But
I want the camera. Do you see the glimmer in Sonequa's eye? I just love that going back in
Yeah.
there, the origin of the love story, the
Yeah.
season.
I
Sorry, keep going.
know.
I love watching that element.
Oh.
yeah, and so that was really where we first kind of met, but she was in there trying to get a job and I was
Yeah.
in there just trying to make sure that I didn't ruin her chances of getting
Yeah.
a job. And so she gets cast,
Yeah.
and then the director and the casting director just liked what I was doing as a reader, because I had to just kind of be whoever I needed to be for the other person. So whether I was Muhammad Ali or Step and Fetch It, sometimes I actually had to read her part for somebody else.
Sure.
But they ended up casting me in the play
Mm.
after the fact, and so then we went down to New Jersey.
Yep.
And that's where it all started to crackle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, what was the first moment you saw her? Like, what was it? Was it in the moment you saw her that you're like, okay, there was something about her? When was the moment that you were like, okay, she's different?
Huh. Well, it I thought she was beautiful
Yeah.
when I first saw her, but I was not where I was in my life at that time. This was Kenric's life BC, before Christ, and I was just kind of just career and just theater minded, really.
Yeah.
And I was just excited to be cast out of being a reader, to get a role and just have a job.
Sure.
And so being down there, I certainly wasn't going to do anything that would compromise my my position of in the role, but just being there, it was a small cast, 7 people. We were 2 out of the 3 people who were sub 50.
Yep.
So we were
Mm.
hanging out a lot.
Okay.
And we're isolated in this area. It's winter times, snowing, very different than an LA winter.
Yeah.
This is New Jersey winter.
Sure.
And so it's like, it's snowing, it's cold, we're in this theater. And it really gave us time to just like talk and be people together.
Yeah.
And she was so nice.
Mm.
She was so nice and fun to be around.
Yep.
And everything. And then it was like, after that, I was starting to be like, I really like her.
Mm.
Like I enjoy being around her, and it was nice. And I was just myself, right? And just sharing things. And then when I found out she was a Christian, that actually blew my mind, because my experience at that time with Christians was like, well, they're mostly just kind of self-righteous and judgmental people,
Yeah.
which wasn't really my thing. So I was
Sure.
like, but then when I found out that she was Christian, but I never felt self-conscious or judged by her.
Mm.
That actually was very interesting to me.
Mhm.
And not to say like I wanted to be Christian at that, but I was like really just like, wow, you're really a cool person.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like who I want to be when I'm around you.
Wow.
Mm, it's
That's
cool.
That's really great.
And so that's kind of where it,
Yeah, it was quite a journey, man. Like
Mm.
we told our story on Black Love, but it's such a we wanted to, I don't know, we want to maybe write a screenplay or a book or something at some
Mm.
point, because it was so sort of tumultuous. Because I was in a similar place where I was like, look, Jesus is my husband and my career is my child. That's what I
Yeah.
used to say.
Mm.
I wasn't
Mm.
trying to date. I wasn't trying to do any of that.
Yep.
I had done a lot of. I had realized that I needed to just be focused, and I certainly wasn't looking for any kind of connections that were sort of outside of. I don't know. I didn't want to be unequally yoked. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I've been there, done that.
Sure.
It ends in disaster, at least in my
Yeah, yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because we spent so much time together with Ray Fisher. He was the other who was sub 50, who's now, or most recently was Cyborg in Justice League. He's done a lot of other stuff since then.
I know it's been
Yeah,
great.
Ray is
We love
phenomenal.
Ray.
We're so
Shout
happy
out
for
to
him.
Ray.
Shout out.
Shout
We love you,
out.
Ray.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was interesting because I quickly honestly we just fell in love really fast, but
Mm.
it wasn't quote unquote right because he wasn't a believer, and so it was like a push and pull, and it was super dramatic and
Sure.
super, and all the
Yeah.
things.
I'll tell this
but-
part, because there was once, I'd never been the type of guy who when there was a girl I liked, could just immediately be like, go up and be like, yo, what's up? I'm Kenric.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Yeah,
Let's do
yeah,
this.
yeah.
I was never that guy.
Sure.
That's like Joe.
And
He just-
We didn't need to out me.
You
I
literally said
resonate with
He's like, I got no game. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to know that you don't
I
have
know.
it, you know?
Right. And so I'm, at this point, I'm, quietly having these feelings for her.
Mm.
And we were in theater, there's this like tech week, right? Which is basically like really long hours to get all the lights and all of the other technical aspects together before you put on the play for an audience.
Yep.
So you spend a lot of time in the theater when it's tech week. And we were supposed to go, the cast was supposed to go to dinner during our lunch break, 2 hours. And just like one by one, people were falling away until it was just her and I.
Mm.
And when I saw that was happening, I was thinking to myself, like, this is my chance to like let it be known a little bit. Because
Yeah.
I don't remember who came to who, but you might have said to me like, I mean, nobody else is going. Should we just like cancel? And I was like, I mean, I'm still willing to go.
Yeah.
Are
I
you
mean, we
willing
gotta
to go?
eat.
Yeah.
Right, we gotta eat.
And so I'm trying to just be like, hey, I mean, whatever. These are just the circumstances. And so we go to this place, and I end up paying the bill, which was my first kind of like, hey,
I love that that's yours.
a little like,
Yeah.
Everyone goes to me like, oh my gosh, he paid the bill. He must like me.
Well, what's funny is like, so we did it, and then
I did know.
we got back
You
to
did
the
know,
theater.
oh.
from that.
Mm.
We got
Okay,
back
so
to the
you-
theater, and I was in my little dressing room that I shared with Ray. But Ray wasn't there yet, and she came in,
Yeah.
and maybe you can tell them what
Okay,
she said.
I'll do this quick because I know we have. Okay, but no, I realized as soon as he paid the bill, I was like, oh, and I asked him to close his eyes, and he was like, what? I was like, just please close your eyes. He closed. I was like, okay. So listen, and then I do this whole spiel, which I've done before, but I basically was just like, okay, so this is the deal. So I think because you paid the bill, that maybe that means that you're interested in me, but I don't know if I'm exactly sure, but I do think that that's what that means. And if I'm assuming incorrectly, then please forgive me.
Oh
I'm
my
so sorry.
gosh,
But if I did assume correctly, then I just got to tell you that, like, listen, I'm like a woman of God, and I don't think you are, and that's okay, because you can believe whatever you want to believe, but I don't think it's Christ. And so I just have to say, I don't think that we should do this, because I want to make sure, da 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 da. And so anyway, no. And then he was like, I started to walk out, and he goes, wait. He's like, you can't just say all of that and then walk away. Sit back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
just
sit with
job,
my eyes
Kenric.
closed.
Good job.
Get blind, literally blind and rejected,
Yeah.
and then just let her walk out.
And he was like, sit back down. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so that was the beginning.
What did you say to her?
Amazing.
Well, I was just like, all right, since she was one who really kind of blew up the spot. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
sure.
I thought I'd be a little bit more sneaky.
I had a few more days,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah, I was like, I got time. But I was, I was still very much like interested, and I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
And also just somebody who was like, listen, I don't think you believe, but I do, and so this can't. Because I was like, I never heard of that. Okay. But anyway, this wasn't a line, but I was like, when I was like, sit back down later, you can't just say that and leave.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I hear you, and I wanted to be respectful. So I'm like, what is, I want to know more about that. Like, I'm curious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, like, okay. But I also knew, it was like, this is the beginning of Tech Week. We got like 2 more months in Princeton.
Sure.
He's like, I got
rush this
stuff.
thing.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just me, you, Ray, and a few 50s.
Ben
And the
Green.
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ain't got to go
Yeah.
nowhere fast.
Yeah.
So I knew I had
Smart
time
man.
on my side.
Very
So I'd have to be
smart.
like, no, wait, choose me anyway.
Mm.
And so I was, I just had this suspicion, like, you know what? I feel like there's something here, and I feel like you like me. And I don't always have that. I'm not one of those guys who just know. I'm usually pretty dull when it comes to that, being aware of that.
Yeah.
But I felt like there was something there, and that there was time.
Mm.
It was like, let it play out.
Yep.
Yeah. That's wise.
And since we had the conversation, I was more free, right?
Yes.
Because it's like, listen, I told you the truth. I told you what it can be, what it can't be. But I did so. It was so effortless with him, which is actually something we say to people when they're like, "How do you know?" And it's like, well,
Yes.
for one thing, it's effortless. Now
That's
that doesn't
good.
mean that it's not hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like a distinction there, which I
Yeah.
think is really
Mhm.
important. But it was so effortless with him, and I just absolutely loved being around him. We loved being around each other so much, and it was so easy, and it felt like we had always known each other. It felt like we were the same.
Yeah.
And so we ended up, because I had that conversation and had sort of done my part, I could be open, and then we just slipped deeply in love.
Wow.
Even though the nature of the conversation would have suggested that something else would have happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
But no, yeah. Then before we knew it, just more pushing and pulling, more dramatics. This is gonna be great in the movie, or the book, whatever it is, because it was like Shakespearean level
Wow.
drama,
Mm.
between us. And then it eventually, got to the point where it was very clear that we were meant to be married, that we were made for each other. It just wasn't the right time, and God had to make sure that the timing was right. And yeah, and then before I knew it, he was born again, and it was so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we
Mm.
knew it got to a point where we knew like we weren't together. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend. And honestly, it was God kind of in the middle of that, stopping it.
Yeah.
But we knew if we ever got together as boyfriend and girlfriend, like, well, that would be it.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like there is no like, oh well, let's see how this goes for
Right.
5,
You knew-
7, 10
we
years.
knew.
You're saying you knew I want to marry her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember I
Mhm.
called my mom and I was like, Mom, I think I found the girl I want to marry.
Wow.
Which I never said to my mom before.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What do you think was like the difference? Because we spoke about this last week, and I was saying how when I met Joe, I had this was even in the beginning. First of all, I had just had a knowing that there was something about him that I really was drawn to, and it was his kindness. There was something in his heart that felt familiar, and there was an ease and an effortlessness when I was talking to him. So he was pushing me like, but what does that mean to have a knowing? And maybe you don't know that knowing until you meet someone where you
Mhm.
feel like it clicks, and you don't have to force yourself to be something that you're not for it to click.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was for me, and this sounds very rom-com-y, stereotypical, but I maintain it. We've been married almost 14 years, and I maintain this. She was the first like female that I was with where I wanted to be a better man,
Yeah.
and I'd never really felt that before, and it just it really felt that way even when for most of our time, especially during the whole run of the play or anything, wasn't sure how it was going to end up, how it was going to work out. I knew what I wanted to happen, but there were things like the Most High God in the way, which is a tough opponent, and but I was like, man, I like who I am when I'm around you. And it but it wasn't anything that she was actively like doing to like she was coaching me or mentoring me in some type of way. It was just her presence in my life. I was like, I want to be better. I really like, it was like this kind of indirect inspiration that I was getting when
Yeah.
And so it really drew me.
It's
drew
cool.
me in.
I love
And
that.
for me, it was like this. I don't know if I've ever even said this, but it's almost like the world opened up. The world opens up when I'm with him.
It's cool.
I love that.
And that's what happened. It's like his charisma and his charm and his sense of humor and his intellect and his intelligence. It's like suddenly I was seeing what was possible. Suddenly there was all this potentiality to the world, and that I had not felt before, that I had not seen before. And I was so amazed at who he was, and that has drastically changed from BC to from before Christ to after Christ. My goodness, I've been able to see this transformation, this butterfly emerge that it has been just one of the most miraculous things to watch. But it was also just this sense too of, like you were saying, this familiarity that you can't explain. This sense we have the same blood type, right? And I I liken that to just like generally what's going on here.
Sure.
It's like we have the same blood. I don't know. There's something about it that that is intangible, unspeakable.
Yep.
You know, I've never said that before. You called me an intellectual butterfly.
That's cute.
Receive
What
it.
I mean.
Yeah.
I do. I receive
right.
it. Thank you, baby.
You're a poet, Sonequa. You're a poet.
She really is.
She really
writes
is.
Yes, she is. She
Yeah.
writes beautiful poetry.
Oh, well, there you go. So
Mhm.
No, I love even there's two different things that really stood. I wrote them both down, and we hit on a little bit about because we're talking about how do we give people tools, right?
Yeah.
To, what to look for, or maybe even because sometimes you don't know what you're missing until you realize what you don't have.
Yeah.
You know, and like this idea of something being effortless,
Yeah.
I think is really profound, right? That
Yeah.
there is a reality that relationships are really hard. Take hard work.
Mhm.
You know, there's mountaintops and there's valleys, right? There's seasons where we feel like we're coasting on a wave, and the other feeling we feel like it's a raging rapid river, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But there is something about that idea of being effortless, where you can just because I think that the two things are connected. When you have someone that in the relationship is effortless, then what happens next naturally is I love what you said, Sonequa, that your world begins to open up. Because it's like, oh, you just all of the burdens fall off, all the heaviness, the weightiness, and you just get to see, oh, I naturally flourish when I'm around this person.
Mhm.
I'm naturally curious when I'm around this person.
Naturally
I'm
hopeful.
hungry, hope, right?
Yeah.
It's like all the best things about who we always were, just they truly open up.
Mhm.
And I love that you guys hit on that, you know, even just subtly, and maybe just a little nugget of, you know, and those of you that are listening, maybe looking for things in a relationship, maybe you're in or one that you're seeking. Is it effortless? And does your world open up
wow.
when you're around them?
That's interesting. I feel like because I, know a few friends that I feel like are going through like they're dating, and
What are
one
their
of
names?
no,
I'm kidding.
but one of them, she's like, oh, he wants to kind of keep it secret,
Mhm.
and that is the exact opposite of a world opening up. Your world actually shrinks, and then you get isolated.
Yeah.
Which is not only not good for you as in the relationship, but it's not good for you individually that you've now become isolated because the one thing that you should be able to share with everyone, you can't share. And so for many, many different reasons. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. And the other one, I'm like, when it starts off really good and it feels like maybe the world's opening up and then the world starts getting distorted because maybe their world doesn't include you in it. And it's a really hard thing to come to of going, oh, I thought this maybe had potential, but now actually, if I'm really honest, you're icing me out, you're pushing me out, and you're creating a new world without me. And whereas I think even when you were talking, I'm like, when we first started dating, you kept saying like, I love that I'm not alone anymore. Like I don't have to do this by myself anymore, which you're not a person to share those kind of sentiments, I don't feel, because you don't mind being alone.
Because I'm an introvert.
You're an introvert, but I did get that sense like, oh, you're opening your world to me and I'm now part of it, and now you can't see your world without me in it. And I do think like, there's this burden that lifts off when you meet your person. And when you said the world opens up, but you don't have to feel so burdened. It's like, I don't have to do this by myself anymore. I can share this with you. And when we share it together, it's not as heavy.
That's exactly right. Having somebody witness your life, it's huge. It's so affirming to have somebody who can just be there with you and witness you, right? Who can be a mirror for you. And there's something that you just said that made me think about language, right? And there's this sort of special language that every couple has, every couple that's meant to be, right? And that was also something that really captured me with him, is that it felt like we spoke the same language, which is similar to what I said about same blood, but we're both artists, right? For instance. And he's a brilliant artist, and it makes me I hear so many actors even just say like, "Ooh, I could never date another actor," and I'm like, it's one of the best things ever that we could have done for ourselves, because we get to dream together and we get to create together, even if it's not creating the same thing at the same time. We create in tandem with each other, right? And we can speak that same language. But what we've learned over time is that your language changes, right? It's like we're with different people over the course of our relationships, over the course of our marriages. And people often will say like, "Oh, you're not the same," you know, and you hear people saying that a lot. And it's like, well, of course not. Of course not. We're completely different.
It'd be
from,
weird if you were.
From last year, from
so
2 years ago, from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 14 years ago, right? And so what we've learned though is that what you do have to do, speaking of the part where you do have to work, is you have to change together. You have to change your language together.
Yes.
Because it's like you were saying, somebody will be like, "Oh, I was a part of your life and you've left space for me, but now I feel like I don't fit in anymore." It's like now suddenly we don't speak the same language anymore.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
good.
The language is gonna change.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work to make sure you're changing at the same time, or keeping each other abreast of the changing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
it's very good.
I feel like there's times when, and I feel like I share this a lot because I think it's interesting. I see Joe changing and like growing in front of my eyes, which I love how you said like
it's a miracle.
Someone gets to witness your life is kind of cool. And I'm watching him change in front of me. Like when he's speaking on stage, I'm like, who is this person? This person's not the person I know. And it's like overwhelming to see him shift. And then I always come to this place, well, okay, if he's growing, then I have to grow, because if I don't grow, then I miss out on what's happening with him. And then he'll leave me behind. Not that he would ever like intentionally leave me behind, but I feel like there's a responsibility on my end to grow too. Like he can help me grow, but it's not on him to push me to grow. I need to go, okay, there's an evolution happening in his life, so there must be an evolution happening in my life, even if it looks different.
That's exactly
which I'm sure you two face, where you take a role and you're evolving. And it's but doesn't mean you're evolving. Your evolution isn't as profound. It just looks different.
Absolutely.
Man, there's so many directions to go from here.
Sure.
Because just with what you're saying, Bec, about that evolution, I think that we found that to be true with our development as people and where we're going and wanting to make sure that we're on the train in that journey. And then I think sometimes we work as like a tether and an anchor, because sometimes things will seek to take us away from who we should be or who God is calling us to be, or, you know, a distraction. And then we can serve as that kind of grounding person to be like, wait a minute, you know, that's
good.
Not quite, I don't think that's quite right. Or let's talk about that more before we really head down that direction. And so we work as like kind of a safety net as well in that way. And it's a really wonderful, like, I don't know, tug of war sounds violent, but like we're tethered. We're tethered in that way. And so sometimes we support each other, sometimes we encourage one another and we go together, sometimes we pull the other, you know, and so it's a really wonderful like connection.
Okay, so this is key, because I feel like that's such a great insight, that some people could feel like, well, you're holding me back. That tether, that like, I'm going to pull you back. But when you trust the person, it's never you're holding me back, but you're protecting me.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's like we're accountable to each other to grow. We have to grow, right? And but we're also accountable to each other to be lookout of the direction we're growing in.
Sure.
You know, it's like we have to watch each other's six, right? It's like actually I can tell that that's not quite, you know, like you were just saying, it's really interesting. And when you do trust the person, and when you trust the process, what you find is that even if the growths are very different, they're complementary. Every time. Every time. Every time.
Have you ever had like how have you navigated that if you feel like, oh, this isn't maybe the direction that I feel like you should go with, maybe specifically the role you should take, or if it's we're gonna grow in the wrong direction. Have you had those conversations with each other, and how do you engage them?
Mr. Smith, yes.
Take us there. Yeah.
You know, let's see. This is an interesting one. So like early in our marriage, we're in our little New York apartment, and you know, we're both young, hungry actors, just waiting for the thing to like, ooh, you know, what's the thing that we're gonna get? I hope I get it, you know. And I remember saying to her, I was like, baby, I feel like one day we are going to have money in our lives, and I don't want to be the type of people who squander what we have, because that story is all too common, right?
Yeah.
People come into money however they come into it, but then eventually it goes away and it ruins them, or, you know, whatever.
Sure.
Sometimes they're worse off than when before they got it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that to be our story.
Right.
And she was like, okay. And so we started this long journey of what I didn't have these words at the time, but financial intelligence, just learning about how does money work, and what is that world, right? You know, which we were so ignorant to.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And we were on it together. And there came a point where she kind of like took a step back, and I was just like full speed ahead.
Yep.
Because I just became so fascinated with like the mechanics of it. Because I was learning, there's so many things that I didn't know what I didn't know. And but I'm like finding it. But it got to a point where it was really overcoming my time, where it's like all I was doing.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and this was a battle that is ongoing for a long time, because it would be like, oh, we have other things, like what about even our spiritual relationship? We're not praying enough together. We're not really in the word enough together. We're, you know, you just want to like, you know, we wake up and then whatever, you know, we do our like responsibilities with the kids or whatnot, and then you want to go off and learn more about money, or learn more about finance, or this thing or that thing. And that was a tough struggle, because on the one hand, I'm like, well, I believe that I'm being led here, and this is actually going to serve our family.
Yep.
But then on the other hand, she's like, yeah, but it's also a distraction, and you're only doing this, and there's other things that require your attention.
Right. Yeah.
And so
For the longest time, he felt like I just wasn't supporting him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not, you know, sort of submitting to where he believed we were being led.
Yeah.
But it took some time, but then finally we balanced. We found the balance, you know, where it was like, oh, okay, I see, and he was like, I see, and then, you know, we grew together.
Yeah.
What was the breaking point for you? What made you change?
Oh boy. You know, it really came down to, it's funny enough, something so simple. It's communication.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think kind of back earlier to your example with the people who will not be named. They where he didn't, you know, he wanted to keep things secret and not really reveal. And I felt I'd made it up in my mind that's like, she doesn't care about this. She thinks I'm distracted.
Sure.
Yeah.
She doesn't really value what I'm doing. So you know what? I'm not even going to tell you about it. I'm just going to go do my thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
and not to do separate from her, because in my mind I'm like, yo, you're
Is
going to
this for
see
you?
later
For
Yeah.
that I'm right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, or like this is why I'm doing it,
That's
and
interesting.
you'll see.
Yep.
And then when we actually like just, you know, it took several conversations before we actually communicated, you know,
Yeah.
and I was able to express like what I'm really doing it for, and why I care so much, and why I'm getting so involved. But then she was able to express her side of things, and how she was feeling and what she was seeing. And I was willing to put my own kind of vision and my desires aside to hear from her, and like really hear what she was saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of opened things up. So I'm like, okay, you're not just trying to pull me away from what I think is most important. Like, you know,
Yep.
That's
I
right.
see these things are important too.
And it was also, I don't know if we might be referencing the same conversation, but I also had to say to him, like, listen, because there was trust that needed to be established in it too, right? I had to make sure it was very clear, because it had not been clear before. miscommunication is so easy to do.
Mm.
And it's there's layers of miscommunication. It's not just one thing. It's
Yep.
like, my goodness. But what I realized is that I had not fully or appropriately or efficiently communicated that I did believe him. It's like, no, I believe that you are being led divinely.
Yeah.
I want to follow you. That was not clear. I had not made that clear.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then it was also like, I am here to help you. You know, I'm your Ezer. I'm your, or however you pronounce it. It's either Ezer Konegdo or Ezer Konegdo. I'm not sure, but it's like, that's what it actually is in the original language. And it really means like a guard. It's, if you look at it pictorially, it's a man, an eye, and a weapon, and that's what a wife's meant to be, right? It's like it's almost like a bodyguard, like an intercessor, like somebody who's gonna look out for you, somebody who can be a weapon for you or against you, right? Unfortunately, but you know, and who can also look out for weapons that are against you, right? And so it's like, I really take this position in your life very seriously, and I am here to help you get there, to help us get there. So if I sense something, if I intuit something, it's only because I'm just trying to get you there, not because I'm trying to keep you from there.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like, he's like, and we were just at a place where we connected because we just had been missing each other in that way, and it went on for a while.
It did.
This was not like 2 weeks.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't
over
even
a
2
course of
months.
years.
It was
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
It was like 3 years where we were just like,
You kept missing each other and you didn't know how to get there.
we didn't know. We weren't in a place where we could like really.
And I really got involved in it to the point where I was like, maybe I don't want to act. Maybe I want to, I don't know, become a financial advisor or whatever. But then I'd see like people, and you know, those like real estate pictures on the bench on the, you know, as you're driving down the road for sale, it's like, maybe don't let me become that. I don't want to become, not that there's anything wrong with being a real estate agent. I just knew it wasn't the call on my life.
For sure.
You know, but I
do
really
well.
We need
financial
houses.
community.
I'm like, I
realistic.
can't. That's not my world. It's not, you know. But the information and the education was really fascinating to me. But I was just saying that to be how really caught up in that journey I was, where I was ready to kind of like let go of everything that was there too.
I think that's interesting when you talk about guardian, because I've never really heard anyone talk about that, but that's been something more personally on my end. That I had a conversation with a friend earlier this year, and she was like, you know, I feel like he's the leader of your family, but you're the guardian. And you're supposed to protect him and protect your kids. And it felt like this is a new thought to me.
It's not communicated that way.
No. And I'm like, now you're talking about, I'm like, okay, so other people think this too.
That's what the Bible thinks.
Well, how did you get to a place where you realized, oh, this is my role? Because before I knew it was my role, I was not doing a great job of it. And I was letting things slide. And I felt like God was like, you are letting things slide, and it's really hurting Joe. And he's so kind, and he's not going to tell you you're not doing a great job of any. He's not going to pull you up on it because he loves you. But
we're not really taught it. Number one, unfortunately, as women, as wives, right? We're it's such a powerful thing, and we're not taught it. It's sort of dulled down, unfortunately. It's dulled down to helpmate, and that doesn't fully get at what the meaning is. You have to look beyond the English. You have to go to the Hebrew. You have to, and then it opens up for you like a flower. And you're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. But even so, I have found I had to come out of self. My gosh, I was so self-consumed for so long. For so long, I was so self-consumed. And that would keep me from seeing what I needed to be doing, right? And I remember God told me one time, I was complaining to God about something. This is years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't yesterday.
It wasn't yesterday, thankfully. Years ago, at least 5. And God said to me, "You cannot be angry at the man you have not helped him become."
Wow.
And I was like,
You're like, did I hear that right?
You
I know.
cannot be angry at the man you did not help him become.
Wow.
That's
Whoa.
incredible.
And I was like, ooh wee. And I think about it all the time. I think about it all the time. It's like we have such a responsibility to each other. We have such a responsibility to each other. This is a privileged position to be a spouse.
Yes.
That's really good.
You know,
And especially like in now, like our current culture, current climate, right? We have a lot of friends going through right now, just marital struggles and issue feels right. It feels across the board. So many friends, you know, and one common thing that I feel like is weaving throughout a lot of them is not that understanding of like, or belief that this is a privilege to be a spouse.
Wow.
You know, like how do I help this person become the person that, you know, I'm disappointed that they're not. Like, how do I take the ownership of, I'm not just going to blame them because it's all about how to, you know, you're not meeting my needs.
That's right.
You know, I'm not happy in this relationship because XYZ. But that maturity and humility to go, okay, is my job simply to be happy? Is my job simply to like, you're supposed to tell me all the things that are incredible about me and gas me up, all that. And not that we shouldn't, of course not. Encourage, of course that's important. But taking that posture of, no, it's a privilege to be married to this person, to be in a relationship. It's a gift. Like you literally are, I feel like God has given me the gift to be doing life with you. And I'm like, when I'm at my best, and I think about like when I'm at my best and we're at my best, when we're at our best, it's almost never because I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful of who I am. Like that selfish, you know, or that weird pride that you caught up. It is like, no, actually, I love what we're doing together. You know, I love that Bec's crushing it in this area. I love that my kids are like full of joy and life and vitality. Like when I'm at my best, the filter is never through my own lens.
Never.
You know, and I feel like wonder, like, why is it that we've missed that? You know, like that we think it's all about our, you know, ego, and we think it's all about our elevation.
And our success.
Yeah, but we're like this double-celled organism, right?
Yes.
That's just like, you know, moving and growing and shifting, and we're called to it. That's the other thing I think that's so beautiful what you just said, that, you know, it's like it's a true honor and gift to live life with you, and we must grow. I'll say it again. It's like we must grow. We have to. And, you know, God saw fit that we needed each other. You know, that's not the case. Not everybody's called to marriage, right? But it is a privilege and it is a calling. And I think that might be part of it, is that it's been sort of diluted. It's been kind of tainted. It's been perverted. It's been like, oh, it ain't. It's like,
because you can get another one.
But it's like, it is a really big deal in heaven. It is a big deal.
It is. And a lot of movies, right? This idea of like love at first sight, or happily ever after, or the way, you know, reference rom-coms earlier. But this idea, like you find that person and maybe it's a little tough in the beginning, but then when you're together, everything's fine. And it's not the case. It's really where the real work begins. And I know we were talking about like early on, and people who might be single are looking for like, how do you know if the person's that person? And as we were talking about early in our kind of like in our genesis, I would wake up and be like, I can't wait to be around her.
Wow.
I can't wait. Right? I'd be like, oh, it's all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do. And then as time has gone on, as we progressed, we kind of matured, and I use that word purposefully, matured past that initial like, you know, the only thing that matters, you know, it's like I could talk to you till 4 a.m. and nothing else matters, you know, and it's like, oh, now you got kids, and you know, you got things. It's like there's other things that matter, you know, because she and I will still talk, and we'll be like, dang, what time is it? No, we have to be up in 4 hours.
So why do we do this?
You know,
We're literally talking about like, Joe, you're killing me. If we stay up past midnight, many times. And
but
I'm like,
there's like, as we've progressed, as we've changed, and as we've been going through this kind of like, you know, this find the word like this, but this tethered life together of the pushing and the pulling and there are times where I find now where because I think like, oh, she doesn't get it or she doesn't care about this as much as me, I want to go and have my own time. Or I'm looking for my time. And that was a little frightening for me at first. I'm like, wait, do I not love her as much as I used to?
Sure.
Because now I'm looking for time where I want to be alone.
Yeah.
And what I kind of learned going through that experience was when the Bible, I don't know if it's Proverbs or Song of Songs, but it just talks about like remembering the wife of your youth, right?
Yeah.
It's Kenric Green version. But like it was really like sometimes the progression and the growth and the maturing that we went through for a moment was like, oh wait, it's not like it was in the beginning. And there's that term like, did I fall out of love or did I, and it's like, no, but things change. Things don't stay the same, but it's a really wonderful foundation. And I think God designed it that way in the beginning, like things run hot. It's just like, this is the only thing that matters. But then as you get older and more responsibility comes into your life, you have to see to more things. So you can't just talk to your person all day. You have to make time for that. Whereas that was the only thing. It's like I didn't care when we were in our 20s. Like I didn't care what else.
We also didn't have any responsibility.
There wasn't that much to see to, right?
Absolutely.
But it really helped to understand like the deepening of that love and the commitment to continue to choose, even when emotionally it's like, I'd rather watch the Lions than sit and talk about our marriage,
Sure.
But it's like, oh, okay, but I got to choose that because I signed up for this. It's my duty.
Yep.
And it's really a deception to think you can get another one
Yeah.
because then you're hitting the reset button thinking like, oh, this will be better. And it's like, no, this is the way it goes.
Yeah.
It's how it's designed, no matter how we like it or not.
Sure.
Yeah. It's so true.
It's very good. Yeah.
And it's really better. It's like we talk about it all the time. We're like, man, it's better now.
Yeah.
It's deeper. It's wider.
Yeah.
It's brighter. It's like, yes, that like in the beginning is lovely. Yeah, but it's just a spark.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like now it's a fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, oh my gosh, like I wouldn't trade it. I appreciate that it's deeper now. That we've crossed over. I don't even remember when this happened, but there was a point where we said, gosh, it was probably, we were in Toronto, we were in the room. It was probably, I don't know, after 7 years or so, maybe it was 2018, something like that. And we hit a new like sort of bottom where we said, it's like we looked at each other and we were like, you know what? There never would be. But even if there was like adultery, remember this conversation?
Oh, yeah.
And it changed everything because we were just like, even if we would be all right, we would make it.
Yeah.
Because it's too too solid now.
Yeah.
It's too solid now.
Yeah.
Remember that? And we call back to it a lot. We're like, yo, because we could feel like the air changing, like we clicked into something bigger, it was really profound.
It was, and it's like this growing into like it's not necessarily about her meeting my needs or me meeting her needs as much as it is. It's like, all right, what does God tell me to do? And am I doing that part? And then as far as what I get on the receiving end, I don't really control that.
Yeah.
And I never was in control of it.
Yeah.
Because we can try, do as a husband, try to get the brownie points or
Sure.
Like I used to think, I'll share this part, but there'd be times where I would purposefully not say anything too incensing because I'm like, I hope we end up in bed together tonight, so let me not mess up in the afternoon. Let me just like nice and easy. And if nice and easy means I just gotta be like in the other room most of the time so I don't mess nothing up, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
But then I realized it's like I can't can't do that. Like I'm like removing my, you know,
Yeah,
it's
like
I
playing a
can't.
game of
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
manipulate,
It's like
trying to
manipulation,
manipulate
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
100%.
It's like I gotta be in here, and there's an aspect of trust
Yeah,
to our marriage that is outside of my control.
that's right.
But what I can do is continue on. So it's like whatever. If something were to happen, like adultery, then it'd be like, all right, well, something happened, but I can still choose to keep with the commitment that I made. And
which we're not trying to make light of adultery, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that
of course.
that destroys the covenant. But we're
Huge
just
deal.
saying, like, I hope what we're saying is
Yes, no,
it's the principle of it.
But
Yes.
I love that.
You know what I
don't know
mean?
if anyone would usually has that kind of conversation. And it feels
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you leveled up and said like, there's a deeper commitment here.
Yeah.
It's like renewing your vows in some ways. Like we can't go back.
Right.
We've come to a point that this is it. This is we're gonna fight through whatever comes our way.
Whatever
Yeah.
comes.
Yep.
That's exactly that's a better way to, I guess maybe that's a better way to put it. But
No,
yeah.
it's good.
No, but I like that you were brave enough to say that. Like, because we used to have that. I remember when we were engaged, I think, and they said, "Okay, well, if I messed up, what would you do?" And I think, if I remember correctly,
you don't need to think. You're correct.
he said, "I'd leave you."
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
but
out.
then
I
that
wasn't
was also like y'all were engaged, you know.
Well,
That
maybe
was
we
a
were
long
newly
time
married.
ago.
Yeah. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
just that thought came back
Yeah.
and like, oh, I wonder if you would say differently now.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
It's been
I'm
too
sure.
long.
Love me. I'm
but
the
you
love of
hope-
your life.
He's like,
Come
you
on,
hope,
man.
You hope you want to try?
Yeah.
You want to try? My You know
That's
what
what-
you said too. I'm gonna say this part quick. What you said earlier too, when you brought in the kids, and you said, you know, when I'm at my best, when we're at our best, you know, like with the kids and everything. It's like I remember hearing years and years and years ago, before we had our kids, that the best thing you can give your kids is a good marriage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And we have found that to be true. We have experienced that to be true. Just last night we were at an event at our kids' school, and somebody, another parent said, like, my goodness, your son is such a gentleman. I have not seen that in young boys, you know, that much anymore. And you know, she was like, he carries my daughter's backpack for her, like down the stairs, because it's heavy.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
like
gosh.
typically, like, you know, boys his age are really self-consumed, and you know, that's just, you guys are just doing an amazing job. And then, you know, we hear about our daughter who is a leader in her classroom, and who is shepherding everybody and is, you know, comforting everybody and leading everybody to do the right thing, even when it's hard. And
Yes.
we just are astounded, because, you know, we instill these things, we try to instill these things, but we don't know, like, is it landing?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
connecting? Are you
Yeah.
getting it? Are you like whatever?
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I love that you brought the kids into it, because we also, for those of us that are called to have children, because not everybody is, that's a big part of it. That's an extension
Yeah.
of this double-celled organism.
Yep.
You know, and you know, that's a whole other element to it. You know what I mean? That's a whole other purpose for it.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know, that was really beautiful that you brought that in there.
No, I love
And-
that.
Yeah.
And I love how we're talking, you know, so much of the conversation, everything is holistic, right? Everything
Yeah.
is connected when you understand. And like we were sharing this a little bit before we started filming, but you know, there's like somebody in our life who reached out recently and just going through some really difficult things and life, and they just reached out basically like, hey, I would love to come into your world.
Yeah.
You know, specifically like here Mosaic, right? We're on the team here and invest, and that's, you know, we're part of the same.
Yeah.
That's how we know each other and met, you know, and we love this place.
Yeah.
But I love that the huge aspect of why she felt comfortable enough to reach out and go, can I come into your world?
Yeah.
Is because of she taught both of our kids,
Yeah.
and she's over communicated time and time again how kind they are,
Yeah.
how joyful they are, how they look out for their
Yes.
classmates,
friends,
you know,
yeah.
their friends, and even like one of our kids, they were able to like honor them
Yeah.
like in front of the whole school
Mm.
with like this specific award.
Yeah.
And we were like, again, when you like, you think you're doing a good job, or like, you know, you're like, and I think so highly of our kids. I love our
know.
kids. You know, when you're in it, you also see how they are with their brother sometimes.
Yeah,
You know,
at
or
home,
like
it's
at
crazy.
home, like how are you at school? What has gotten into you?
Yes.
But it was so beautiful to listen to her talking about. It was our oldest Zai, and talking just the characteristics.
Yeah.
You know, it was like we were crying, getting emotion. I saved it.
Yeah.
It's on my phone. I've got to highlight all the, because not that it's about, it points back to us as parents,
Right.
but going, no, that's actually the greatest stewardship that I want to have. That's the greatest marker
Success.
of
It really
success.
is.
You know, is
really is.
and also the fruit of when somebody is going help, right? Or somebody's going, I haven't been able to discover what is missing, but I feel like there's something going on in your world.
Yeah.
Can I come in?
Oh yeah.
I want that to be the reality in our relationship, in our family.
Yeah.
That it's not closed off, that it's not, like, oh, look at them over there, or they're isolated. That we have the type of family that's people know the door's always open, and can I come in? You know, like that's us as a family. Is why we're here. We feel like why God brought us together.
Yeah. But I love what you mentioned, because this has been on my mind the last few weeks. I watched a podcast with Rich Wilkinson with Mariah, and he said to her, like, the greatest gift you could give Juno is how you love each other, how Jake loves you and you love him. And it was like, that's the thing, is you try to instill all those attributes and the character, which I think they do go deep. But the greatest of those gifts is them watching what's not really being told to them, but what they can see, what's played out, the role model in front of them. And that to me, like, gives me chills. And I guess what you even said, it's such an honor to go, our greatest gift is how we love each other, like how I love him, how I honor him, how I'm kind to him, how he's kind to me, like how he never says a bad word about me or to me, like in front of them, like he's constantly respectful. We never raise our voices to each other, and we never, I mean, that was one of our rules when we first got married, was we'll never say a word we can't take back.
Well, we try, yes. And never is, I don't think we have.
I don't think we have.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think you taught me, it's like, hey, be careful with the words you say, because once you say it, it's out there and it's implanted in someone else, right? And so the weight of each word. So now I hold my tongue, and it's, you grow from that, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I think how the environment that we create, and then how you love me, it's like the boys are watching that, going, that's how a man's supposed to love a woman. That's the fact that Kenric Jr. is carrying a bag. I told River, who's
incredible.
a 4-year-old, I said, now 5, he just turned 5. I was like, every girl in that class you look after and you protect like they're your sister. And it's like, we want them to, like, this is how we're going to raise incredible
because they're going to be leaders. They're going to be the protectors. And, and it's so important. And it's interesting too, we've learned the value of our joy. And I kept thinking that as you were speaking to both of you, is the joy that you carry, the joy that you live in. Obviously, we know that the joy of the Lord is our strength. Without it, we're weak. We know this. But I kept like thinking of it and hearing it, and even just what we've seen from you, you know what I mean, with the way you are with each other and with the way you are with your kids. We can see it. You can see it. It's evident. And no doubt also what she saw that made her be like, can I come into that? Can I come into that joy? Wow. We realized years and years ago, that our neutral is play. When we are playing, that is our sort of like homeostasis. It's like, I probably used that word incorrectly just now, but like that's our neutral. Maybe that's a better word. It's like, is play. We play with each other, and there is that joy, right? And our children are the most joy, like joy de vivre is they are so jovial, both
Yeah.
of them, so full of joy all the time.
100%.
Yeah.
And
that's so good.
that's also who God made them to be. And we just like, it's one of the reasons why we're so grateful that we get to be their parents and we tell them that. Like, yo, like I'm so honored to be your mom. Like, we're so honored to be your parents. You guys are awesome. Like, just on your own, you're awesome people because He made you that way. But also, you know, the play is something that I think rubs off on them.
That's cool.
Too.
I like that.
And we play as a family too. It's like we're always playing, and we do the most when we play.
Yeah,
I
was about to say.
And so
I want to come and play at your house.
We also be like making them act, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. But we be like, do it again, but do it like this. Take two. And you know, and then I'm like, oh shoot, I guess I shouldn't make them act.
But
they love it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, you know, they do it, and it's amazing, and it's so funny.
And it's cool too, because some of it is a surprise to us. Like even, you know, we kind of discovered that he was doing this. This wasn't something that we were like coaching along the way. Like, hey, when you see a girl in your class, it's heavy, you grab that. You know, like that wasn't, it wasn't so direct in that way.
Specifically.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Of course, we're instilling the values. We understand that they're watching, they do what you do, not what you
Teaching
say.
him how to be a gentleman.
You know, we are. But then, you know, when we ask him about his day, he's like, that's good.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I know.
what happened? Like, what you doing? You know, and it's like
Yeah.
you could have told us that there's a girl, you carry her bag down the stairs all the time. Like that would have been nice to know. But he just never volunteered. If she hadn't run into her parents, we would have never known it. You know, and it's fine. Like we're not going to know everything about our kids' lives, but it's also it's encouraging to know who they're becoming, and then to watch that, you know, watch that play out.
That's beautiful.
Because there's an aspect you can control, and then there's an aspect you can't. You know, and so it's really cool.
Yeah,
that's good. Man, there's so many different directions that I wish we had another 3 hours
I
to
know,
dive
it's
into. But what I'd love to do, maybe we have like last few minutes together, is do like we've never done this before, like lightning speed with questions.
I love speed questions.
Just hit you with a bunch of questions. You have
like one-word answers.
You know,
you have to be prepared because
not do one-word answers, but just like quick,
just like quick
answers.
All right.
What was it like to work together?
Amazing.
Yes. Amazing. Secure. Secure and like, I know.
I love you.
It really was. It was the best.
I love
it was the best.
It really was.
Yeah.
Y'all, he's so good. That was that was huge for me. It was the best part for me. I could almost cry. It was being able to watch him.
Thank you. And it was really, sorry, this is supposed to be speed.
No.
It's good.
Great.
But it kind of goes into that thing. Like it was our first time working together on a film where we're both integral. It's the fourth project we've been a part of together, but the first time we really interacted.
Sure.
And through us working together, other people were really moved by it, which we were not expecting, we weren't looking to do.
Nope.
But it really was better for the overall production.
Yeah.
Which was such a gift, you know, and we're just say that in all humility, like, you know, because that wasn't a plan of ours, but it was really amazing to see, like, I don't know, God's super come on the natural, you know, you say these things, but it was amazing.
Because people could see like how you loved each other. Is it?
They're surprised, especially like we talk about like actors, like there's couples who are actors who are like, I can't act with my spouse, like no way. You know, like even when we were a part of an acting class at one point where the teacher, she wanted to put us in separate, normally she puts couples in separate classes because it gets weird, but she was like, well, the two of you, I think it seems like it'll be okay, so we'll keep you in the same room. Didn't have us in the same scene, but the same.
So if Sonequa was like doing a love scene with someone else, like just even if it's not physical or whatever, but you wouldn't mind, you're like, oh yeah, I can watch this, fine.
Yeah, I mean that's there hasn't been actual like love scenes, but where she's romantic, like the romantic opposite. I mean, like LeBron James. But it's being both of us being in this business and understanding what's really going on.
Yes.
It is. It's okay. Like even in the times where there's had to be like a kiss or something. It's like I know what that is because I've had to kiss an actress opposite to me.
And we actually like to be there.
It's way more,
It's
it's way more impersonal than you'd imagine.
Totally.
You know, because there's so many other people.
Yeah.
It does feel like a
handshake.
handshake.
It really does. It feels
you know,
like a handshake.
but But it's not something I'm looking to do. Let's just be clear.
Yeah. But thankfully, we were husband and wife this last time. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay,
That's very
this
cool.
next
Sorry, yeah,
two
we're being
words.
way more
Watch
lightning.
me do 2 words.
Yeah.
What's the next question?
Well, I was gonna ask this. We kind of answered a little bit, but what do you love to do for fun?
Together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Eat a great meal.
It's great.
Yeah.
What
really
favorite
love-
restaurant right now in LA?
Ooh, in LA.
It used to be Scarpetta.
Yeah, there's
Remember
Scarpetta and the Beverly
Mhm.
Montage.
Yep.
I don't know
They
where they
closed
went.
it
Come
down.
back. Come
Mhm.
back.
I don't know it now.
Yeah. They're in LA. Where
Or it could be another city if there's something else.
well, there's a
Yeah.
Jacobs.
there's in Toronto, there's Jacobs and Company Steakhouse,
Okay.
which is just incredible.
Incredible.
And what's
Okay.
funny is one of our favorite things to get there is a tableside Caesars, not even the steak.
But
But it's amazing.
It is.
It's delicious.
Okay. What is the one thing that you've learned from each other? The most
no one thing or
significant-
a
one thing, a
Okay.
thing,
Yeah.
most significant. Like, you have taught me this. Being with each other this long, 14 years.
Beauty of engagement. That's what I'll say.
Ooh.
Beauty of
Beauty of
engagement. Okay, you got to
engagement.
unwrap that just a little.
Well, you can see she's very, she's very
is.
dynamic and
Mm.
and she's magnetic,
That's
and you
right.
just everyone that I've been around who's around her at the same time, it's she draws you in and,
Yeah.
and people love being around her. And it's the same for me, right? Like that's why I
Yeah.
signed up for this ride for life, because it's
Aw.
amazing. And it's because she engages, she's there. I know for me, the way I operate, I used to think that I could like multitask or think about 4 different things at once, and I really was becoming miserable.
Sure.
And I didn't even know why, but I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And it was really helpful to one, have her counsel as my easer,
Yeah.
but then also to watch her when it's time to like, oh, you're here, like whether it's with our kids or with other people, it's like, oh, you're here, and you really like get in there. You're not talking to this person, but thinking about where you got to be in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's something that's been a long, long journey for me to be like, get out of my head and
Yeah.
out of out
Yes.
there and come right in here,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
and so I'd say that.
That's beautiful, baby. Thank you. He's taught me how to hope.
Oh.
He's taught me what hope really looks like in action. I used to say that I believe that he has the gift of faith, but just the way he is able to hold on to the promises, hold on to the beauty of the future, like hold on to the hope of even the present moment. He's like a miracle in that way. And I've seen it happen we have been in the worst like situations you can imagine. And I've seen him hold on to it. It's like he's got this, like, he's like a champion of hope,
Yeah.
and it's been so inspiring to watch it and to like, no matter what, like, and I feel that it makes him sort of indestructible. I think it makes him, invincible, or I don't know. I can't think of how exactly to put it in this moment in biblical terms, but it's just, it really is phenomenal. And I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before. And it's taught me it's opened up my world.
Yeah.
It's opened up the possibilities of my world. And it has also, it's made me more hopeful of the future, because I used to be quite hopeless before him.
Wow.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
thank you.
That's
What are you dreaming about right now?
We're dreaming about.
Dreaming. Oh, speaking of, I don't know how you gonna say that quickly, baby. I don't know.
I have an answer.
Mm.
I'm hesitant to share. A dream, maybe the biggest dream I have right now, is to establish generational wealth for my family and ultimately for the sake of the kingdom of God and the gospel being spread. That's my dream.
It's cool.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a big dream. I like it.
Yeah.
And I want to get to you as well, Sonequa, if you have one. But I love even, there's so many times I referenced that, like when last time we had dinner together, one of our favorite restaurants, Din Tai Fung, shout out
man.
in LA.
Yes,
Hey, thank
it is
you.
delicious.
Thank
It
you.
is
That was
delicious.
good.
For taking us there.
I know, right?
But just hearing your guys' story, I mean, again, we could do an entire 2 more pods just on the layers upon layers with you guys individually, but then also as a couple.
Mhm.
But and it sucks that we're getting here at the end. But I'm so moved by both of you. Both of you are walking miracles. Both of you are like living testaments to what happens when you let God do something far bigger in your life than you could ever dream or imagine. And I love even in that asking what you're dreaming about right now. It's not an accident that your focus was a generational filter. And I know that's a value for you. And as somebody who, sees himself as God positioning in your family in a very strategic way, a very intentional way, and that you're trying to leverage every good thing that God has done in your life, not so that your life gets bigger, but so that the world around you gets bigger. And I love and respect that about you a whole lot.
Oh, thank you.
And I feel like that is a nugget and a piece of gold that wherever you are around the world, wherever you are listening to this, I mean, I think the world could be a little more hopeful if we all had that Kenric Green mentality,
Yeah.
that there's a generational conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that. Love that that's your focus and your filter.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, my dream is the same. Same dream.
Same.
I'm just gonna try to
Yeah.
help.
It wouldn't
No.
happen without
Liz at the
Mm.
bottom.
It would
Thank
not
you.
happen.
But yeah, like we just wanna be the church. We just wanna we wanna have it to just like
Yeah.
whatever it is, we got it here.
Mhm.
Here you go. What you need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it here.
Yeah.
Here, come here, take, eat.
Mm.
Here.
Yeah,
Like, that's the dream.
your generosity
Mm.
is in everything you do, both of you. And I loved that you said that she's the Sonequa is so engaged, because you truly are, like, on Sundays, any person that comes to you, you're like fully focused. You're like, I'm here. What do you need?
Mm.
That's
What do you need? I can encourage you. And what you said, that you're a walking miracle, is like anyone could look at your life, your past, and go, oh, you had one future that you didn't make it out. And you had another future where you did. And I love that you're constantly you're trying to remind other people that they have a future too, and that there's always hope, that your past doesn't dictate your future. And both of you too. It's like the fact that you're saying generational wealth, because you want to be good stewards of it. And I've been having this we've been having this conversation too, of wrestling with that. Like, okay, because I even heard recently someone talking about tithing, for instance, and they're like, if you think it's easy to tithe on little, you're wrong. And it's like, it's hard then. It's going to be really hard when you earn a lot. It's really hard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so true. It's like there's a faith to it. There's an obedience to it. And I want to be someone who grows into that person that can be trustworthy with it. And I love that you even had that conversation earlier on. You're like, you could see what was playing out. You could see the success. And I also love that you always push Sonequa up. You're like, oh yeah, of course it's all on her. It's because of her. And you don't think that means you're less. It's because you're part of that building, whatever you're building. Like the fact that you guys have a vision for your marriage and your family, and it's so big and it's so clear that it doesn't matter what success comes your way individually. It's ours.
And we're
That you're
standing on
both
him.
winning.
We're standing on him, and he's standing on Christ, right? It's like he's our foundation. Yeah.
Wow, guys. I appreciate
Me too. Thank you,
I
Bec.
appreciate that, and I
Yeah.
Thank you.
appreciate you
Mm.
guys.
We love
You know,
you.
this is really wonderful,
Yeah.
and it's been a journey to arrive here. And I'll say back to what you're saying about tithing, like I have found it more difficult when there's more than when there
Yeah.
was less,
Yeah.
and it's been a struggle more lately than it was early,
Mm.
and I haven't always been. You know, I say I because it is ultimately me that has to do it. You know, pull the trigger,
Yeah.
and I've failed sometimes.
Mm.
And for fear and for everything, and it's just like, and then I have to, you know, we have to have conversations, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, and
Yeah, we had to
And-
oh God a few times.
yeah,
We
you
owed
know,
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so
It's okay.
it's yeah, but it's a beautiful journey, and it's God is faithful, and you know, His grace.
The fact that both of you ended this blessing us, it really speaks to you guys. We talk
Yeah.
about you guys a lot. We talk about you guys more than you know.
Likewise.
You guys are
Yeah.
inspirations to us. What you
Same here.
carry, what you're giving, what you're blessing, how you lead, how you guide,
Mhm.
how you nurture, how you comfort, how you provide. You're just in the middle of it. You're just in the middle of His palm doing His work, and you're sacrificing for it every moment of every day. And I know all of us see it, but Kenric and I especially see it. And you guys are champions to us. You're
Thank you.
champions for Him, and warriors, and like warriors of love, and champions of light, and like you guys are doing it. And I don't understand. Like I said before we started, I was like, I don't understand how y'all are able to do this. It's like, I know, I understand that His super is on y'all's natural. I get it. But like, how though? It's
Yeah.
really, really like, let me not say it's incredible. It's astounding is
Wow.
what it
Yeah.
is.
Thank you.
So thank you for
Mhm.
having us, for speaking
Yes.
life into us, and for talking to us.
Yes,
And
we
just
No,
do it
it's such
again
an
and again
honor.
and again.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. No, we appreciate your
Y'all are
time. We
amazing.
value it so much, but more than that, we value your friendship
For sure.
Yes.
and who
Same.
you are.
Likewise.
So yeah, man, every word. I wish we can keep going, but we have to stop and respect and give people more, right? If you enjoyed
Yeah.
this, you want this, you want other people
Yes.
like Kenric and Sonequa, who are phenomenal human beings that are here for no other reason than to pour out
Yes.
what they've learned, what they've shared, then let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, rate. This helps give us information on how we could best serve this community. So we love you all so much. Thank you both
Of course.
for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having us.
and if you're a fan of theirs, go support them. Go watch. Or you have a movie coming out soon.
Yeah.
Sarah's Oil, Christmas 2025, Amazon.
Yep.
Wow.
Amazing. What's it
Yeah.
called?
Sarah's Oil.
Sarah's
Sarah's
Oil.
Oil. And
Oh,
this is
that's
the
the
one
one that
that's
you guys worked
both in.
together on.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Christmas
That's
Day
exciting.
2025. They already like
Okay.
decided.
That's
That's what
incredible.
they had
I wish it was
said.
this year, but it's okay. I get it.
So
did
I have
we.
to edit.
We were
and
like,
I
I
know.
know, we were like, why so far away?
For
yeah.
sure.
Why didn't
Yeah.
we hear?
But now we all have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Not just this
Yeah.
Christmas, but next
Yeah.
Christmas.
There's also
but
My Dead Friend Zoe coming out February 28th.
Okay.
Yo, amazing.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I've-
I know.
I've
Yeah,
heard
that's
a
the
lot.
veteran story.
That's
Yeah,
got buzz.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've
And for the
heard
football
some
fans,
amazing
Travis
things.
Kelsey's a producer. If you like
Oh, yeah.
football, check it out. Has nothing to do with football though, but he's
Yeah,
a part of it.
That's cool.
That's amazing. Well, man, we love you guys. We love
We
your
love you.
love.
Yes, we do
We
love
love
it.
who you are. And so thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here. Thank you for listening to Unguarded. And we will see you on the next episode. Until then, let's keep being the best version of ourselves. All right, bye.